My name is Iram Mazelli Ogotako, and in this video, it's mainly going to be talking about my story. So, right now, I am in Saint Martin. This is my favorite place on the planet, and I just want to kind of have this video just for documentation purposes. So, I'm editing the video right now, and as I'm watching it, I'm seeing that I have some green stuff in my nose. And part of me wanted to refilm it, and I was like, yeah, let's just refilm it and just do a better one. But then the other part was like, okay, if I do refilm it, I'm going in with the mentality where I'm like, okay, I need to like try to hit on the same points and try to recopy what I said in the video, but then that would obviously lose its authenticity. And I wanted to really make sure that this video is like super raw and I'm just kind of getting straight to the point with it. So again, this video is going to be about 40 minutes long, as you can see. And I'm just going super in detail about like my story, what shaped me to become the person I am, who I am today, and how God has had a big impact on my life and all that good stuff. So again, apologies for that, but I didn't want to refilm it because I think the video would actually lose its purpose and lose its authenticity, which was what it's supposed to have in the first place. So yeah, hope you enjoyed the video. At the end of the day, this is like a super raw video. It's just here for like documentation purposes. So I have my journal here. Let me put this up. I got my journal here. I wrote a couple notes about like the different topics I want to cover. And so I want to talk about a few things. So I want to talk about obviously like, my life, how I was in university, and then how that led to my success in the corporate world. And then from there, what was like the big defining moments in my life that kind of started me on this journey. And then eventually into like why I started like this business and like the doors it's opened for me. And again, this is mainly just for like documentation purposes, just so I kind of have this on record, on file. And it's not meant to be like a super polished video. I'm not really going to promote this one. It's really just, I have this on my page. But anyways, let's get into it. So it's actually kind of weird because I'm just like talking about my life, but when it came to like school and whatnot, I was a really good kid in school. But the reason why I was good wasn't necessarily might not be for the reason you think. I growing up, I didn't really care that much about my education. I didn't care that much about schooling, but I did care about obviously what people would think, and I cared about what my parents thought, specifically my pops. I'm really close with my pops. I love him to death. That's my pops at the end of the day. And the problem was that I think with most African families that move over to Canada or United States, you always have like the dad who works abroad in Nigeria or wherever it is. My family's from Nigeria. You always have the dad that works abroad, and then you have the rest of the family that stays in either the U.S. or in Canada. In my case, my mom would all the kids stayed in Canada, while my dad was staying in Nigeria, and he would send money overseas. And so I didn't really see him that much, but I obviously loved him. It's my pops, and I wanted to make sure that he felt that his sacrifice was worth it, because he was obviously sacrificing a lot of his time, energy, attention in order to provide the life that we were living in Canada. And I wanted to make him feel that like, okay, you know what, maybe this wasn't all for nothing. And one of the things that really made him happy was when we would do good in school. And so at first I didn't really care about school, but when I saw that how me getting an A on my test would make him feel, I'd be like, damn, like, you know what, like maybe I should try a little bit harder for him. And so that's what really led most of my most of my schooling. I literally just wanted to do well just to kind of make my dad happy, and and that was really the only time that he, I would say, praised me in a sense. So growing up, I would always chase after that praise from him, and I'd always try to, because that was the only time I really got that validation from my pops when I would do good in school. So that was always one of the driving factors for me, and so that carried on in high school, and that carried on to me going to university. And in university, I ended up doing really well. I finished with a 4.0 GPA, like literally perfect. I worked so hard, like day and night. It would literally be like class, library for like 4 hours, go hang out with my boys, back to library for another 2-3 hours. But I would do that every single day. And I wouldn't miss a day. That was the only way I would be able to keep up with obviously I'd miss a day here and there to maybe go to a party or to go do some nonsense, but that was for the most part. But I guess what really kind of got me onto this whole like personal development journey, not necessarily even personal development, but like even with the gym in general, but I kind of classify gym with that whole personal development stuff too. You kind of I had a situation where I realized that because I would always be able to kind of like work my way to kind of get what I wanted to, whatever it came to the job or whenever it came to like the test or grades or whatever. But when it came to like girls, I didn't really have like in high school. I didn't really talk to any girls. In fairness, they didn't really pay me attention. I didn't really pay them attention. I was just really focused on video games, doing good in school, and basketball, track and field, hanging out with my boys, watching NBA. Those are like my main interests in high school, and I didn't really care that much about girls. By the time I got to university, I still didn't really care that much, but something changed because I went from like not having like literally zero attention from girls in high school to as soon as I get to university. I remember my first day, my parents they're helping me move in, and there's this one girl that literally came up to me asking for a number, and I was like, wait, me? Like, sure, like it was like kind of like it was like mind blowing because I was just like, what the hell, like I'm not used to this, and that kind of continued and snowballed. And I say that to say that this whole new like attention it was new to me, and it wasn't something that I was necessarily super comfortable with, and it's also something I didn't really know how to manage that well. And in my first year of university, I was talking with this one girl, and we were actually really cool. Like we hit it off pretty well. Things were going smooth. Like this is perfect. And I had thought things were like really great, and I think she did too. I hope at least. And I remember, so that was first year. So now going in from first to second year, I'd asked her. I was like, hey, so like over the summer, okay, and this just shows how like inexperienced I was with all this. I'd ask her like, so like, hey, like over the summer when we both go back to like our hometowns, are we still gonna be like in contact? Like, you want me to like text you, or do you want to just wait till we get back to like the university, like in September again? Because normally we finish off in January. No, we finish off in April, and then May, June, July, August. Those 4 months is a break, and so most people they either work or they go back to their hometown and kind of just chill. Everyone goes back to their hometown. And so I went back to my hometown, got a job. I was working at the bank then, and it was going cool. But the girl at the time told me, and then you come back in September. That's like that's the goal. And so then I remember the girl. She told me that like, hey, like, why don't we just like wait till September and we kind of like pick things back up. And I was like, all right, yeah, cool, sounds good, that works. And so I didn't really know. I mean, looking back at it, it's stupid, but like at the time, I didn't really know what I was doing, right? So that's kind of like what I went with. And so then I remember what happened after that. So that happened, and then September hits. And I remember even before September hit, I was on my phone. I was trying to find out like best date spots or the best restaurants in like the city of the university I was in. I really just wanted to make everything like perfect and make sure everything was like working out well. And so what happened was eventually September comes and I'm super excited. I remember I hit her up. I'm like, hey, like I'm back in the city. Like, what day are you pulling up? Like, I already have a couple stuff planned out for us. Like, it would be cool to kind of let me know when you're free and everything. I didn't hear from her. I'm like, oh, that's weird. So then I double texted her, and I also didn't hear from her again. So I was like, oh, that's weird. Maybe she just like didn't see like the first message. So like I sent the second message, like double text. Still didn't hear from her. Then I was like, huh, okay, that's also weird. What if she maybe just didn't see the second message? So I sent another message, which was a triple text, and still didn't hear anything. And so I was like, damn, like I didn't really know what was up. I again, because I'm new to this, I didn't really know like girls did that stuff, and so I was like pretty upset. And I remember I just decided, okay, you know what, like, let's just lock in. And so I locked in. I tried to forget about her and kind of just go about my life. And so I remember I was studying one day. I had an exam in like a few days. It was maybe like a Monday night. So I'm in the common area. I'm studying, and something like I'm at my desk. I'm just like grinding in the common area, and something tells me to look up. I look up. I see her. I see the girl walking through campus with like this big black eye, and I'm like, bro. And he had like tattoos and everything. He had the ears pierced and everything. I was like, bro, like come on, like. I was like, are you? And I was like, I was in second year at the time. I think this guy was at least in his fourth or fifth year, so he had the age on me. He had the muscles on me. He had the tattoos on me. He had the piercings on me. And so then I remember I looked. I made eye contact with her, and then I had this like look of like regret, and she had this look of like shame on her face too. I never forget that look. But anyway, she kept walking, kept it pushing. I looked at the guy too, did like a mental scan, and then I remember instantly I wasn't able to work, and so I started writing down on a piece of paper. I was like, okay, what does this guy have that I don't have? Like, why did she pick him over me? And I was like, okay. I started doing like a mental checklist in my head. I was like, okay, tattoos. Okay, I can't get tattoos. My parents are gonna kill me. Okay, piercings. Can't get those either. My parents are gonna kill me. What else? Okay, I mean he's 2 years older than me. Can't really do anything about that. Oh yeah, he also had a beard. I didn't have a beard at the time. Go now though. But I was like, okay, shit, I can't just grow a beard overnight. And I actually did try to start growing out my beard after that day. But then I was like, okay, what else does he have? Muscles. Wait, yeah, he has bigger muscles than me, but I could actually work on that. And that was the only thing on that list that I felt that I could actually work on to like improve and get myself to the next level. So I came to a point in my life where I was like, damn, like this is actually the only thing that I can actually work on right now in order to get to the next level, to be at a point where this girl would see me as someone that's viable. And so literally I went home like I think 10, 15 minutes after that because I couldn't concentrate. And then I searched up on my walk home. I searched up on Google what time does the gym open for like my university, and I was there first thing in the morning. I don't know what I was doing, but I was like, all right, like we're gonna figure this out. And so that was the first time I ever worked out. So that was literally how I got into working out. And from there, obviously, I got a little bit better. I started working out with the football guys. I started making a lot of friends in the gym. They would show me tips and tricks. I think one of the things that really separated me from other people was that I was always willing to learn. I was always willing to. The thing is, and I've learned this lesson so many times in life, and I've learned this lesson over and over and over, especially when I read the Bible. It's what the people who you always count out the most, and the people who society normally counts out the most as, oh no, like you don't need to listen to what they say. They don't really have anything important to share. Those guys are probably the people who could actually teach you the most. And so it's always the smallest guys in the gym who are teaching me the most. And so you ain't look at them and be like, I'm not really gonna take advice from you. You're kind of small. That's how most people would think. But I would actually listen to them, and I'd be like, okay, there's some truth in what they're saying, but maybe they just lack like the practical part. They lack actually doing it. And so for a lot of these guys, that was kind of the case. And so I would learn a lot from just listening to them, just talking to them, watching endless YouTube videos in my free time, just trying to like being obsessive with it and trying to really learn everything. Eventually, started training people. I mainly started with private training. And then eventually it kind of like grew and grew and grew. Anyways, you can get into that after. But what else do I need to? I wrote down what I'm trying to talk about on my thing. And so, anyways, back with my school, my 4.0 led me to tons of job offers when I graduated. So before I graduated, actually, so I picked up a job at RBC. RBC stands for Royal Bank of Canada. That is the biggest bank in Canada by assets and total market share in Canada as of 2025. This is June 2025. Excuse me. And so I started working there, and they offered me a senior analyst position right out of school, just based off of my work experience and based off of my grades. And so I started off as a senior analyst. Most people, all my peers, were starting off all as analyst levels. I started off as a senior analyst, and so I was working hard. And then I realized that, okay, you know what? This specific position I was in, I was doing credit and risk management for like credit cards. So a lot of credit modeling, so people who don't know what credit modeling is, I didn't really know what it was until I started. Have you ever gotten those messages in the bank saying that, oh, we've approved you for like $1,000 credit limit increase, or we've approved you for a like $500 increase on your credit card, whatever it is. There's legit calculations that go behind calculating all of that. And so that's what I was doing. And so we use Python to do that, and we use SQL. It's a coding language. So I had to learn those two things on spot in order to be able to do this. And I was doing this for RBC, for all of their clients. Obviously, I worked with one other person, but it was literally just us two doing this for like all of RBC clients, and I have like millions of clients here in Canada. And so it was a lot to learn and a lot of responsibilities on my shoulders, but we made it work. And I realized that like this was something I absolutely hated. I did not want to do this, not at all. And I realized that like, okay, you know what? I need to make a change in terms of like my job career. And one of the things I also realized was that no one no one's gonna do that change for me. Like my pops isn't gonna apply to these new jobs for me. My pops isn't gonna go to these coffee meetings, and these networking events and kind of like help me, take that next step. Like I have to do all of this myself, and that's when I realized that like my life is only gonna be what I make it. And so I started looking around the bank and seeing, okay, what other areas can I jump to? And one of it was corporate banking. That was the one that was really appealing to me just because of how much people focused it was, as opposed to being like very numbers and data focused. And so I started trying to make that shift to corporate banking. But at the same time, too, in my personal life, I was up to a whole lot of nonsense. I was really just playing video games for the most part. I was addicted to this video game called League of Legends. And so I was playing a lot. Like I was playing a lot. I don't really want to say how many hours I was playing, but I was playing a lot of hours. I put a lot of time onto that game. Let's just say for like almost a year straight, I was playing like 5 hours a day. Like, so you could do the math in your head for like literally a year straight, not including all the time I spent playing in high school and in university as well. So I played a lot of that game. And one of the things that was so funny is one of my best friends, we would always play that game together. So we would stay up. So we'd get off work 5 p.m., 5:30 p.m., sometimes 4:30 p.m. And we'd literally play from like 4:30 to like 2 a.m. every single night, minimum. And at the end of our gaming session, whether it's like 1 a.m., 2 a.m., you'd always look at me in the face and be like, damn, like, we should really do something with our lives. And I was like, yeah, you're right. See you tomorrow? And we literally just see each other tomorrow. And we kind of repeated that cycle over and over and over for like months and months and months. And I remember there was even this time that we went to play basketball because we are like, like I've had it, like I'm fed up with this. Like we've done nothing but like play video games. Sorry, there's a truck outside, so that's why it's so loud. We've done nothing but play video games. Like let's do something productive. Let's go play basketball. We play basketball at the LA Fitness, the local LA Fitness, and I remember we finished at like 10 p.m. And I told him, hey man, like have a good night. Like I'll see you maybe on the weekend or something. We'll hang out on the weekend. And he's like, yeah, cool, no worries. And then I was like, yo, you're gonna go straight to sleep, right? And he's like, yeah, I'm going straight to sleep. Like, and I'm like, all right, cool. I remember I got home, I got into the game, and I see him logged in too. And so then he's like, I knew you're coming on. And I'm like, damn, bro, like you know me too well. It's like I knew you were gonna be on too. And so we started playing together. So like that's how bad it was. We weren't able to really stop. And what kind of got me to like move on to the next chapter of my life was there's a couple things, but I think the main defining moment in my life, which kind of like led to everything, was one of these days where I was playing with my friend. We like I remember I went downstairs to go put some dishes in the sink, and when I went downstairs to go put the dishes, I remember I looked into my dad's office and he was still working. And then I thought to myself, it's like, wait, it's like a Monday night or it's like a Tuesday night. It's like almost midnight. How is this guy still working at his desk? At this time, I had never I had never done anything on my own. So I didn't know what it was like to actually put in that kind of work on something that you're passionate about. I'd only been working for employers, and all I know is 9 to 5. And as soon as 5 hits, you're good to go. You're free. And so my dad, he obviously worked for himself. He had his own business and whatnot. And so I see him working, and I see him grinding at like almost 12 a.m. And then I thought to myself, I was like, damn, my pops is still working. Then I was like, huh, that's like, he has the house, he has the car, he's providing for the family. If I were to trade places with him right now with my current job, even if I saved up 100% of my money, 100% of my money, and let's just say the government didn't tax me, and I saved 100% of my money, I still wouldn't be able to afford the mortgage, the car payments, the food that I'm eating, the rent, all that stuff. And so I was like, wait, I'm doing something wrong. How am I the one playing video games when I'm in that position, But my pops, the person who already has everything, he's working. Like something's not right here. And that's when it clicked that like, okay, you know what, like I'm doing something wrong. And so after that night, I never logged back onto the game till today. And that was like a really defining moment in my life because that moment really changed everything. I told myself I don't know what I'm gonna do, but I need to do something. And I started looking a little bit more into it. I'm like, I'm never gonna be able to be successful and have the life I want to live while working a regular 9 to 5 job. Like it's just not gonna happen because at the time at RBC, my first job I was making about 80,000, and then I got promoted, hit the 100K mark. So now I'm six figures. But then with that comes the taxes, and after the taxes, I'm looking at my bank and I'm like, yeah, this shit ain't really moving. And then by the time I got to corporate banking, that's now 120. So now I'm 120K. Cool. Life's going good. Life's smooth. But I'm like, even if I'm saving up all this money, 100% of this money, I'm losing a lot of it to taxes, and then I'm losing a lot of it to like I have to pay like I don't know. There's a whole bunch of stuff. But anyways, I wasn't taking a lot home. Bottom line, and I realized that like, okay, I'm thinking too small. I need to be able to kind of like level up my thinking, and I need an additional source of income. And so then I was like, okay, you know what? Like, let me start a business. A lot of smart guys start businesses. Like, let me start a business. And so I started doing research. One of the things I was really, really good at, because I spent so much time in school, like rereading and writing and whatnot, I was really good at like writing and rewriting other people's stuff. Whenever my friends had like essays or whatever, they would always send it to me, and I would rewrite it, and I'd help them get better grades. That was just one of the things I was really good at. So they call that copywriting. And so it's just using words to help convert into sales. And so people pay people to come into their business and rewrite their websites, rewrite their emails and all that stuff. And so I was like, okay, like that's like a pretty, you know, that's a skill I already have. Like I can just do that. And so that's what I started doing. I was doing copywriting. I was sending out cold DMs, cold emails to people, getting ignored. Like I was so demotivating. I was like, yeah, like honestly, screw this. Like, you know what? The pain that I kind of went through trying to figure out something was so much that it was so demotivating. I just didn't really want to continue, and I just told myself, you know what? Maybe this just isn't for me. Like maybe I can just be like normal. I can just work a job. Like that's fine. And that's kind of like one of the things that almost held me back. And I just decided that all right, like either I'm doing this or I'm not. And I kept trying. I remember when I saw my first client. I remember I was so happy. I told my brother, and he was really happy for me too. And I told him like, yeah, like this is gonna be the key. Like I'm gonna make it out. Like this is how I'm gonna this is like just the start. I remember I was so happy. I still remember that. And now, but it just didn't go any further from there. I didn't have the drive. I didn't have the mindset that I needed. I didn't have the work ethic. So none of it lasted. And anyways, that was like my first business that failed. And then I started thinking to myself, okay, what other gifts has God given me that I can like lean on? I would say I'm a pretty decently smart guy, so I like teaching people. I always taught my friends when it came to exams and when it came to tests and stuff to help them get ready. So I was like, okay, I want to maybe do something where I can teach a little bit. But then another thing was I was always just naturally strong. So even when I was starting to lift for the first time, I was always able to outlift even the football guys at my university. And that was like easy for me. Like I started off, I had a really good, obviously due to genetics and due to like just my natural strength, I had a really easy time lifting weights and a really easy time kind of in the gym. And so I was like, okay, let me do something like gym related. I always felt like I could be like, do something with my athletics, but I just never really took it that seriously. And so now I was like, okay, you know what, I'm going to start a gym page. I remember that same friend that I told you about earlier that I was always playing video games with, that guy told me, yeah, you could, but I don't really see it. Like, so he's kind of like hating, And then another goal I had at the time too was to be able to bench press 405 pounds, so 4 plates. I wasn't able to do it back then. And I remember that same guy, he told me, oh yeah, you'll never be able to do that. Impossible. I remember he told me impossible. So I told him, so what I'm going to do, this is what I told him. What I'm going to do is I'm gonna bench 405 pounds, and I'm gonna make a gym fitness account, a gym page, and I'm gonna post that. Then I'm gonna tag you. I'm gonna tag you when I do that. Okay? And I remember I did exactly that. I ended up taking it. I just thought it was too petty to leave up, but I could probably unarchive it. I could probably find it, to be honest. So that's what I did. And so I posted that. I tagged him, and he literally couldn't believe it. And that's what gave me the confidence to kind of get started with this whole gym stuff. Another thing too that gave me the confidence was I would go online on my phone and I'd see guys who were literally like half my size. Like no disrespect to them, I know they worked really hard to get to where they are, but I'd be like, yo, if this guy can post, ain't no reason I can't post. And so that's another thing that gave me confidence to start posting. But anyways, I'm posting. I wasn't really that consistent, so I didn't really see much traction, much motion. But one of the things that did help was when I first started as well. Um, where was I trying to go to this? So that's exactly how it kind of started my business. But another problem I had at the time was I was really successful in the corporate world. So I had been promoted from senior analyst to like an associate. So in my bank, we have like different levels, right? So I had been promoted like multiple times when it came to like the salary, like the increases in the bonuses, the increases in the salary, like salary bumps, and obviously winning like a ton of awards because my work was really good and they're really happy with my work. So that was great. And when I switched from credit modeling to corporate banking, I also that was also a promotion because how the bank works is you start off at like level 10, then you have like level 9, and you have level 8. As the levels get smaller and smaller and smaller, your position gets higher and higher and higher. And so I went from a level 10, so I skipped from university from like a level 10 to a level 9. So most university people, you start off at like level 10. And so I started off at level 9. And then I changed fields, so I changed from like data analysis and credit modeling and everything. I changed from that field to personal banking or corporate banking. And so I didn't just change laterally. And normally when you change like lateral, like boom to boom, like normally you have to stay at the same level and learn the skills of someone at that same level that you were at in your other place, and then you can start moving up. But I didn't only just change like laterally. I also changed things. So I went from a level 9 in the credit side to a level 8 in the people side. Um, and that's all thanks to glory of God. That's not my own doing. That's obviously God opening the doors for me. Jesus opening the doors for me. So cool. But anyways, that's what happened. So change from level 8. Now I'm level 8. And obviously with that came more salary, more responsibilities and everything. And so now I am like a high earning 6-figure man, making a whole lot of money at the bank. But I wasn't really happy because I realized that I was missing something. And I had the job, I had the salary, I had the body, kind of, not really. My habits were inconsistent, and I wasn't, super dedicated to the gym and whatnot. And I just needed. There was just so much information that I was trying to take in. I was trying to learn how to navigate my career, trying to learn how to navigate because I want to continue advancing in my career. I want to continue being able to be there for my family, for all my relationships, my friends, and I also wanted to make sure that my gym was getting enough attention as well as my business as well. So there's a whole bunch of things that I was managing, and it wasn't that easy to kind of like keep everything it wasn't that easy to kind of keep everything going. And so what happened was my body was like one of the first things to give out because I was trying to follow all this fitness advice that was made for literal like influencers, like fitness influencers, and I was trying to apply it to my own life. The only problem was that it just didn't work for me because I now had tons of responsibilities. I now had tons of things I had to get done on a day-to-day basis. I didn't have like 2 hours to spend at the gym every day like I used to have when I was in university. Or I didn't have an hour to cook every day like I used to have when I was in university. Now my time was like way more limited, and I really had to just focus on the essentials. And so that's how I kind of like built my whole fitness plan around, being able to simplify fitness for high earning men because at the time, that's what I needed. I just needed more simplicity. I needed like the few things that I needed to work on each and every day, that I should focus on each and every day in order to actually just get me the results I want. And so, because there's a ton of fitness information out there. This guy says this, that guy says this guy says this, and it's like, okay, who do I listen to? And I realized that none of these guys that are speaking have ever been in my position. None of them have been in my shoes. None of them are working six-figure jobs where, they have all this pressure on their shoulders to perform well. They need to be there for their family. They need to be there for work. They need and actually show up. They need to be. They're trying to have the body and they're trying to build their business at the same time. So it's like, okay, you guys are giving fitness advice. Cool, that works if I have unlimited time. But I don't have unlimited time. I only have maybe like an hour a day max. And that's being generous. And so I was like, okay, with that in mind, how would this advice change? And I wasn't able to find advice that would actually stick directly to that. So that's kind of why I created, this whole program and my whole method, which is the PCT method, the protein, calories, time in the gym, because those were the things that I started focusing on that allowed me to actually see the results with minimal headache. And it kind of like helped break down that belief that like, okay, you know what, I actually don't need to sacrifice my career and I don't need to sacrifice my business in order to like see results in the gym. And so that probably leads into my next point about like, okay, if I did find something that was so efficient that kind of gave me energy to kind of do everything on a day-to-day basis, why did you stop working? Why don't you just work and build a business at the same time? It's a great question. I was doing that for a while. So I was working, building my business. Everything was going smooth. And the problem was I was growing crazy fast on Instagram. People were really relating to, the fact that I was working a corporate job and I'm also finding ways to help train other people and help get other people in shape. People love that, right? But the bank, RBC, they didn't like that. And so it created a whole problem because with RBC now, they were like, okay, I don't like the fact that you're posting content, and you're working for us. I documented literally the whole thing on my social media, so I could probably leave the links. I don't know. Should I leave the links? I mean, you can go on my page, literally go to my Instagram page right now, go onto the grid and scroll down all the way. It's some of the first videos I posted. And you'll see me like wearing suits and everything. You'll see me walking into the office. You'll see like a corporate day in the life. Those were all the videos I was posting. The RBC was like, yeah, we're not really feeling this. You got to take this down. I'm like, well, what do you mean? Like, I'm literally helping and inspiring people to kind of like get started in the gym, get started with their fitness. Why would I take this down? And they're like, yeah, we just don't really like, it's not a good look for the bank. Like, we just prefer if we're not associated with this. Then I'm like, okay, well, am I breaking any policies? And they're like, yeah, we just don't want you to have it. So like, okay, so am I breaking any policies? And they're like, yeah, so either delete it and stay, or you can keep it up if you want, but you can't work for us if you do so. And so it left me with a tough choice where I now have to choose between keeping my job, which is a really good paying job. I love my job. I love the people I worked with. Made tons of friends in corporate banking. So either I stay and stick with that, or I have to leave. And keep my page. And so one of the things I did is, I think in this life you always have to bet on yourself, and it's one of those things where no one really sees your vision. If you can't see your own vision, no one's going to see your vision for you, right? And no one sees it and no one believes until you do. And if you don't even believe in yourself to make it work, it's never going to work. And so I was just like, okay, well, this is like the test. Like, I feel like this is the test from God. Like, are you going to stay faithful to, what I actually am calling you to, or are you going to stay in comfort with your job, where at the end of the way, it's going to get you those results that you want. It's not going to get you that life that you want. Because I was like I said, when I saw my dad working at the office, I knew that, okay, even if I do save up 120K, if I save up 130K every year after taxes for like a year, for like 10 years, okay, maybe now I can actually start to afford a house, talk less of the mortgage, talk less of the car, talk less of being able to. So I was just like, okay, you know what? Like, I need to, like, this ain't gonna work for me. And so that's another thing that kind of gave me the confidence to be like, yeah, you know what? Like, I'm jumping into the uncertain, but I'd rather have like an unlimited earning potential and be able to help as many people as I physically can, as opposed to being capped with like a salary at my job. And not to downplay or talk down on any like 9 to 5s, but like that was definitely one of the limiting factors with like RBC. and one of the reasons that really pushed me to kind of like, come over the edge. So that was how I say RBC, and ended up leaving there. And then there's a company called All Max Nutrition. It's the biggest sports nutrition company, second biggest sports nutrition company in Canada. And they actually reached out to me and kind of like recruited me, headhunted me, and they're like, "Yo, like, we like what you've been doing on like the marketing side, and we want to kind of bring you on board." And so they actually created a position for me of the digital marketing director. And so started working there, working with their digital strategy team, and kind of like, hiring my own team. And it was a really great and amazing experience. But then ultimately, I'm kind of at the point now where it's like, okay, you know what? Like, I don't really think this is going in the direction I want it to go in. I'd rather just put all my time, energy, attention, and effort into my own personal brand and into my own business, because at the end of the day, me just jumping from job to job to job is just delaying the inevitable. It's just delaying the actual work that needs to get done when it comes to what I want. I kind of see it the same way as someone who is looking to get in shape, right? But then instead of getting in shape, instead of actually going to the gym, they're buying a gym membership. They're doing research on, okay, what is the best cardio technique? What is the best workout to do? What is the best food to eat? So they spend all their time researching those things instead of actually just going to the gym or actually going to the grocery store and like buying the food. And so by me going from job to job to job, I felt like I'm just actually jumping from the grocery store or just doing research on like what's the best techniques and stuff to do instead of actually just doing the work. Because at the end of the day, you can't cheat. You can't cheat the grind. You can get away with it for a little bit, but at a certain point, you're going to be in a situation where you just can't escape the grind. Like, you have to get the work done no matter what. It's at a certain point. And so if I want my business and if I want to be able to help as many people as I want, the sooner I start doing that, the sooner I can, make this into my life. And the longer I delay it, the longer it's going to take. So it's one of those things where it's not going to work until I do. And that's one of the other reasons why I decided to kind of like, go all in and really double down on, what I'm doing and what I'm doing in terms of like helping educate people and helping men who are just like me simplify their fitness. And obviously I work with like all tons of people. I've worked with all tons of people. But yeah, the whole goal is just for people who are in that position where they're working and they feel like they're not getting the results that they want in the gym, and they're overwhelmed already with work, with their career and everything, and they just want to get in shape, but they don't have the mental load, the mental capacity to be able to focus in on their fitness. So yeah, so I think I've done a pretty decent job of like explaining my story. I can go into a part 2 of this, but like, yeah, I mainly just wanted to kind of have this guy here just for documentation purposes, just so I can kind of like look back and be like, okay, damn, like when I was June, time of filming this is June 9th. So when it was June 9th, this is kind of like, where my head was at. And this is, what I was kind of like thinking during these periods of time. Yeah, so that's kind of all from my story. Obviously, there's a bunch of, I wouldn't say a bunch, but there's some details I left out. I can probably explain and expand on those in like a different video, but I definitely do love these kind of like, raw talks where I can kind of just talk into the camera and kind of like, share my experiences. I think that's what it's all about, right? It's just really, social media is all about just, connecting and showing who you are as a person and kind of sharing that with the world. And so, yeah, so that's my story. I hope you enjoyed or took a lesson. If there's any lesson to take from this, it's chase your dreams, go after what you want, because if you don't make it happen, it's never going to happen. And yeah, so if there's anything that you can take away, I hope that's what you take away. And if you want to connect more with the journey, you can follow me on Instagram. So my Instagram is linked in my bio. So I kind of post every single thing that I do on my Instagram now. Currently in Saint Martin. Up here, this is kind of like a surprise trip for me. Yeah, it's been good. Life's been good. God has been good. Been working on my relationship with God. That's also been a really big thing as well. that I didn't really mention as well in my story, which I feel like I should, or at least make another video about that. But yeah, I've been working on my relationship a lot with God, and I feel like that's been able to help open even more doors for me. But it's more so just giving my life purpose. Now that I'm closer with God and I'm actually, praying consistently, I'm actually reading my Bible consistently, and focusing on like the spiritual part of my life and treating it like a hobby and not just something I do whenever I need it. That's been like a game changer. That's been making a night and day difference for me. Like actually focusing on my relationship with God. That's probably been the biggest thing because at the end of the day, God's been the one who actually opened up all these doors for me, and it's the only reason who I am today. And I've been able to find success in what I've been doing up until now. So that's probably been the biggest thing for me. So relationship with God. And the other key factors that I'm focusing on right now is really just building relationships with, my community, and with the people and just actually providing like actionable and insightful advice for people. Because I feel like right now there's a lot of information on there which is like very cookie cutter. It's very commoditized. It's like, oh, here are the 5 best bicep workouts. It's like, yo, no one cares. But it's like, okay, I want to know about what bicep workouts or what workouts helped you when you were going through XYZ situation to help you get to XYZ result. More or less. I probably didn't explain it that well, but you guys gonna get the gist. And for now, I'm just yapping, so I'll kind of end it off here. But if you stay till this far, I love you. I appreciate you. And yeah, so this is my story.